Hello, and welcome to the Guilbault Girls Show, where you will have the opportunity to hear from mothers, fathers, siblings, and individuals themselves about their journey of living with a disability. I know, it's called Guilbault Girls, but we have a bonus for you as we get the Guilbault boys to interview some of the dads and siblings and get their perspectives too. We'll also have special guests from time to time to share the many resources that are available to those living with a disability and their families. So get ready to laugh, smile, cry, maybe even get a little angry when you hear some of these stories of their day-to-day struggles. But let's not forget their many triumphs. As they say, it takes a village. And if it weren't for our village, we wouldn't be where we are today. So join us. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Guilbault Girls. Today you have myself, Karen, which, I realize every time that I introduce the show, I just say, welcome to another episode of the Guilbault Girls, and I never say my name or introduce myself as the host. And then we have my daughter, Faith.
Hi.
And we have Dr. Paul. Welcome. So you can find the Guilbault Girls on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find our show on our YouTube channel and all the different podcasting platforms and apps. So today's guest is Dr. Paul Wichansky. Dr. Paul is a leading motivational speaker, author, and disability advocate who has shared his story with over 1 million youth, parents, educators, and other professionals during the past 4 decades. That is so awesome. During his presentations, he shares uplifting stories about his dream of learning to walk and working towards many other goals. He has cerebral palsy and a hearing loss, but he has strived to rise above these challenges and achieve milestones which others had initially believed impossible. Doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Transforming obstacles into opportunities for self-improvement, he has dedicated his life to help inspire others to see their own challenges as unique gifts. With the assistance of his mom, a former school social worker, Paul started his speaking career at age 10. Sounds pretty much like how the Guilbault Girls adventure started, he said. I'm so honored to know Dr. Paul. We actually went to high school together at Freehold Township High School, New Jersey, and he actually graduated with my older sister, Dana. He's been a big cheerleader of Faith and I, and has shared many times how he continues to be inspired by our family as we are of you, Paul. So much so that 12 years ago, I was actually able to be able to invite him here to Maryland to help inspire former colleagues and students, encouraging them to dream, achieve, and succeed. And I still have some kids come up to me and they completely remember that. And it's crazy because Faith was 7 back then. And it was amazing because Dr. Paul got to stay with us. And Faith and him really bonded, and then we got to catch up, and it was awesome. I think that was like the best part of it, was being able to like have you there with us. So thank you for everything that you do and for all the things yet to come as you continue to touch so many lives.
Thank you.
And
it's
leave
a
a
pleasure to be
lasting
here.
impression.
I certainly remember that time,
Yeah.
12 years ago in 2010,
Yeah.
where I came down and visited with you, and I remember every moment of the presentations, as well as your family and your son, your daughter, and Faith was 7 years old at the time, and I remember that.
Yeah.
I think your son was JD was 10, if I'm correct.
Yeah, 10 or 11. Yeah, about 10 or 11. Yeah. Yeah. That's insane. It's insane.
He's 20 now and in the military.
You got to talk a little bit louder. Tell him how old he is now.
Almost 23 and in the military.
Yep, he's almost 23 and in the military, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, as I say, it takes a village, and you, my friend, have reached many villages over this time. And we're excited to have you on the show today to talk about your journey and spread the good word about your new self-help book, Yes, I Can, Lessons Learned from a Life Less Ordinary. I'm not going to lie, I had a hard time sitting down trying to even come up with questions to ask you during the interview, because you've had so many amazing things that you've done over the course of your life, things that you've achieved, hearts that you've touched, and the laughter shared, and so many words that have made a difference in so many lives. So really, I'm going to leave it up to you on where you want to start off. Between your younger years and growing up to those middle and high school years, college, your academic background, which is phenomenal, motivational speaking, and now an author, like you have like so many amazing things. So I'm going to kind of let you start on where you want to begin.
Okay, well, let me start by saying that I did not learn to walk till I was about 4 years old. And it was always been my dream when I was 2, 3, 4 years old to learn to walk like everybody else walking. And I figured, why can't I walk like that? My feet were turned in like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, she took me to about 7, 8, 9 doctors all over New Jersey, and for a diagnosis, which was eventually it led to cerebral palsy, but we weren't sure at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And most doctors took one look at my legs, shook their heads, and said, "You know what, Mr. Wichansky, we don't think Paul will ever be able to learn to walk." So my mom left disgusted. She left annoyed, but she never gave up.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
It was her perseverance that led her to see another doctor, another orthopedist, Dr. Nuzzo. And he was a 10th doctor. If my mom gave up before the 10th doctor, do you think I would be learning to walk as well as I can today? Probably not. But my mom did not give up. And it was the 10th doctor that changed everything. And he gave Mom hope.
Mm-hmm.
And he designed bracelets for my legs that got my feet from facing each other to facing forward. And then he cautioned Mom, "I warn you, Mr. Wichansky, if this happens, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take years.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want your son to walk, it can only begin through small steps."
Mm-hmm.
And those small steps I took when I was 4 years old. I went into a toy store with Mom. She was holding my hand. For support, we walked into the toy store together. Unfortunately, when we got in the store, it was all toys all around me. And Mom saw another mother who she knows in the store. And we get two moms together who love to talk. You're not going anywhere anytime soon, right?
3 hours in a million.
And I did not want to listen to them with toys all around me. So Mom let me go. And I get lost. I actually get lost walking away from Mom. And that never happened before. And she was thrilled I got lost.
Yep.
She wasn't worried. She wasn't, worried about me or anything, because she knew that I walked away from her. I realized a small victory in learning how to walk at that time, and I walked away from her. But as the years progressed and I got older, I was a little introverted. I like to communicate with adults more than I did with kids.
That's right.
And Mom noticed I needed a little more confidence. So she invited me to speak at her school. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I was 10 years old. And I didn't want to talk in front of students that did not know me, because I was stuttering all the time. The cerebral palsy was affecting my tongue, my voice, my jaw movements, my arms and legs, and especially my legs.
Mm-hmm.
And Mom convinced me. She said, "Paul, I work at the school. All my students know me, and now they want to meet you." So I said, okay. I reluctantly agreed. But it was so exciting to be taken out of my school for the day. My own school, Lord Donovan School in Freehold.
Lord Donovan.
To go to my mom's school with her for the day. And after the morning assembly, I would always try to delay her in my own way from taking me back to school, because I didn't want to go back to school for the rest of the day. So I said, "Mom, can we go out for lunch? I'm hungry." And it was my underhanded way of saying, let's delay this a little more. So during lunch, I would ask her, "Mom, how can I make the programs better? what do you suggest to do to improve it? Because I wasn't very good at speaking. You know, I was saying, okay. I noticed students were getting a little tired of listening to me talk about cerebral palsy. They wanted to talk about hobbies. They wanted to know my interests.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought in my Matchbox cars, my drawings, to show to the students I was more like them than it was different.
Yes.
Because you take the word disability, what if you remove the first 3 letters from that word? What are you left with?
Ability.
Exactly. Ability. And I focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always ask her, Mom, how can I make the assemblies better? And that's never a question to ask your mother. You're wonderful. There's nothing I would change. I could not get any criticism out of her. She's my mom. So I started to criticize myself just a little bit. And the more assemblies I did over the years, I became better at them.
Yeah, more comfortable.
Now, in 9th grade, we were in Freehold Township High School together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you are aware of this, but when I was in 9th grade, I was in the cafeteria having lunch, talking with my friends and family, talking with my friends and laughing with them. I did not see the senior jock, a varsity football player. He walks up behind me, lifts me up into the air, and dumps me in the garbage can. And then parades me around the cafeteria while I was in the garbage can. You know, I was angry at the time, but I didn't want to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
And I just brushed myself off and went to see our principal, Mr. Hayden. And I explained to Mr. Hayden what went on in the cafeteria. But I added, please don't get the jock in trouble. Don't punish him. I just wanted to let you know what went on in the cafeteria. So I do not know this, but the principal, Mr. Hayden, suspended him for 3 days. I didn't know that. And the former jock finds me on Facebook about 20 years later. Doesn't add me as a friend. Instead, he sends me a message, profusely apologizing for his actions all those years ago. Because he has kids now who are in middle school. And he understands that what he did was so cruel.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended the message by saying, Paul, if you forgive me, please add me as a friend. So he didn't add me. He asked me to add him. I smiled and it clicked add friend. Because people can change when we become educated.
Yeah. And that's the key word, education. Yeah.
About the differences we all share. And, you know, when we become educated about others, we lose that fear of being different.
Mm-hmm.
And what replaces it is love.
Mm-hmm.
But in forgiveness, there were 2 people I needed to forgive. First of all, it's obvious. I needed to forgive the bully for doing that to me back in 9th grade. But I also needed to forgive myself because I had anger, I had frustration inside. And when I forgive myself, I release it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't let it bother me anymore. So forgiveness is a 2-way street. It's always been a 2-way street.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows us to be happier, hopeful, and the world just seems better when we accept our own challenges as gifts, the greatest gifts that we have in life. Both Faith and I share the same challenge, gifts. And it gives us tremendous potential and opportunities that are available to us because we use we use our challenges, cerebral palsy, as a springboard to instill motivation and confidence to rise above it.
Yep.
And it's more difficult for us because we have physical challenges. Some people have emotional challenges. You can't see their challenges, whether it's autism or ADHD or a learning disability or, but that's the beauty of life. We all have challenges. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah. What was your outlet when you were in high school? Like, because of course, I'm sure there's days where you were frustrated or you didn't have as many friends as some other people. And like, what was your outlet getting through those tough moments?
That's a very good question. I think my outlet was my support group, the family and friends and teachers who believed in me, and I would always surround myself with people that were positive, encouraging, and supportive. The ones that looked at me with trepidation or uncertainty, I try to avoid them. But if I could not avoid them, I would try to make friends with them. Because when we learn about the experiences of others, that also reduces fear. And my support group was a big way in helping me to overcome my challenge and fully accept the cerebral palsy as a gift.
Right.
And there was a time when I asked myself, why me? Why do I have this disability? Why not somebody else? And then I realized, wait a minute, that's a very selfish question. We should not ask ourselves, why me? We should ask ourselves, why not me? If there's anyone that wants a challenge, it should be us, each one of us individually. And I've always believed that.
She said, "You're so smart."
Oh, no, I'm not smart. I like to learn from other people. So thank you.
When you did your different programs, how are they different in terms of like your K to 12th and youth groups versus your engagements with the college and the different professional organizations? Because I know you have so many amazing stories, funny stories, interesting, inspirational. Like how do you narrow down, okay, I'm gonna do this to this audience and that to that audience?
Well, I think that one of the key factors for being a motivational speaker, as Faith knows too well, is the audience, the maturity of the audience. What are they ready for? I mean, if you speak to a professional audience of educators, it would go over the heads of third graders if they were there. So the age of the audience is always a key consideration for my programs. I have to think about what are their experiences. And my trick is, I want them not to be talked down to, but I want to talk with them. I want to walk with them on this journey. So I like to share stories, just like I am today. And everyone loves to hear stories. Yep. I never heard of anyone who doesn't. These stories help establish the emotional connection between the speaker and the audience, each individual audience member. And some of the stories are funny, they're uplifting, they're humorous, and I interchange them with other stories that are more frustrating, depressing at first. But I try to transform those stories, in fact, to lead to happiness and to ecstasy, even if they start off depressing, just like the Jack story. What happened in ninth grade? It was so depressing when it happened, but when I finished the story and spoke about forgiveness and talked about that, you feel it inside. You feel it in your heart.
Yep.
That forgiveness, that joy and happiness, as well as euphoria.
Yeah.
So I like to play with the emotions of the audience based upon the different age groups. Now, for elementary schools and middle schools, I like to focus the presentation on disability awareness, character education. But when you get to middle and high schools and educators and parents, you want to focus more on resilience, more on leadership qualities and how to become a leader. Because when I see all the students in front of me, I look at future teachers, future biologists, future people who work in the military, like JD, and, people who serve our country in public service. And my job, I'm their teacher for an hour, and only an hour. And I want them to remember the lesson for a lifetime.
Yeah.
I don't care if they forget about me. But don't forget the lesson. The lesson. I'm just a messenger. Just like Faith and I are messengers. And you're doing a lesson with this podcast.
Yeah.
Broadcasting it all to viewers, to uplift them, to inspire them to be the best person they could be.
Yeah. And for so many families out there that don't know the way, that are just starting out, it's like we're there to help them, like other people were there to help us, and kind of share all these different resources out there that they may not know about. I have one question. So I know how you talked about your mom. Were there any moments when you were like, Mom, just stop, or like you got frustrated with your mom? This is where we are, because we're like at, she's at this age, like, Mom, I don't want to do that, or would stop.
It's like we're figuratively smacking each other, but we're not really.
She's like, don't tell me to do it this way or that way. I don't want to do it anymore.
I'm not ashamed to miss
Hey, you just got to appreciate your mom at all times, because she's living her life through you. She's seeing her life through your eyes. And my mom sadly passed about 4 years ago. But remember, when I go on stage in front of audiences, I feel like she's on stage with me, because I am continuing her legacy. She gave me a microphone at 10 years old. She planted a seed of confidence. I never stopped 41 years later. And when I go on stage, as long as I'm in front of a microphone, as long as I'm sharing my stories, Mom is still with me on stage. I can't see her, but I can feel her.
Feel her. Oh, you're making.
And in the early morning, before I leave for a program, I leave about maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning from home to go up to North Jersey, and I just relax at a Starbucks near there instead of sitting in traffic. So it's a good strategy. I relax for an hour or two and then go to school. I'm just a few miles away. So I said to Mom, when we're on the highway, it's dark out. Your job is to sit in the passenger seat and keep all the animals and deer away from our path when we go up there. When we take the turnpike or parkway up to North Jersey, I want you to keep all the animals on our path and make sure we arrive safely at the Starbucks and the school to host a program. So I invite Mom to come with me. And it feels like she never passed.
Mm-hmm. That's comforting to know. Definitely comforting. Tell us about all your academic, like when you went to go to college, did you know exactly what you wanted to go for in the beginning? And how was it going to school? Now, did you stay on campus or did you commute or where did you go? How was that experience?
That's a very good question. In searching for a college that combined my interests in meteorology and environmental science with accessibility and, all the programs that are available, I chose Cook College, which was in New Brunswick. It's now the School for Environmental Biological Sciences. Okay. And it's in New Brunswick and part of Rutgers.
Yeah.
And, going from a single high school building to a sprawling college campus was intimidating for somebody like me who had difficulty walking.
It's definitely
But the dean of the time, Dean Bob Hills, he helped me to accommodate the environment to make it more accessible for me. Like he provided a disability van service at Rutgers. They would have a copy of my class schedule, so they would pick me up at the right time, about 20 minutes before class, and drop me off in front of the classroom building. So it wasn't much for a walk. And the van would always be waiting outside when I ended class. So they would bring me back home, back to my dorm. Mm-hmm. And it worked out beautifully. But during that first year, my legs were weak. Mm-hmm. And I used a tricycle, with a basket in the back to, go to the dining hall and back. And one of the things I used to do is funny, is on my way to the dining hall, I would see all the police officers. And the police officers were ticketing cars that were not supposed to be parked in lots. Everybody else was so cautious around them, but I was friendly with them. I didn't have a car on campus at the time. I was just friendly with them because they were doing their job. So I learned to get to know them, all the police officers. So when I got my first car on campus, I was a junior at the time. And if I had somewhere to go after class, I'll call up the van service and say, I don't need a pickup. I'm driving myself to class. So I would drive myself to the classroom building. Now I have a treasured car. I care so much about where I park my car. You know that too well. And it turns out, if I did not see a spot in the parking lot, I would drive onto the grass in front of the building and park on the grass. Oh. Well, where I wasn't supposed to. And the first time I did that, I came back out after class only to see a bright red parking ticket holder under my windshield wiper. I should have took out windshield wipers before I went to class. But that's a joke. All right. I thought I had received my first parking ticket. However, there wasn't anything inside the holder. Nothing. I turned it over and it said, Paul, please don't park on the grass. So I didn't realize that, by getting to know all the police officers the last 2 years on college, my legs got stronger with the riding the tricycle.
Yeah.
And, freshman year, I could only walk to the post office 3 times that whole year between September and May.
Mm-hmm.
It was a distance of about 800 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I only walked there 3 times. By senior year, I was walking 3 miles.
Wow. That's amazing.
So, I was really excited because my friends noticed I was walking better
Mm-hmm.
because I was exercising at the gym. And they were afraid to compliment me because they were not sure about how I would react.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what they did? They told my roommates anonymously that Paul is walking better. What's he doing? And my roommates told me. And when I got those compliments, I was so excited.
Yeah.
It was so motivating to get them because my feet I was walking my feet further apart. And when you walk like that, you wobble back and forth. So you walk with your feet closer together and was exercising in order to do that, to increase my balance.
Yeah.
And that minimized the wobble.
During our first
I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really motivating.
During our first fire drill, I got out within 10 minutes of everybody. The security guard was really impressed.
That's good.
But yeah, people do comment about my walking, and I just say thank you because I don't know what to say. But that's kind of how I'm walking now and trying to improve it. Like I go to the gym 3 days a week and stuff.
You go to the gym there 3 days a week?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that. That's awesome.
Faith, do your friends compliment you? Or how do you ask them for their advice?
So I'm in a new classroom, so people don't really know me. So I'm like trying to be cautious when they come up to me and like give them space because I don't know what they think of me. And of course, I'm too shy to ask.
Yeah, she's grown shyer over the years for some reason.
Oh, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Because, you know what? I was once shy, but I realized that everyone else wants to learn about you.
Mm-hmm.
And in the dining hall, what I did was at Rutgers, I love this. I would have somebody, a dining hall employee, carry my food and drink from the serving area to the table because I couldn't carry my tray. So they would walk aside me, all right? And what I would do is get out in the room, look around the room, and sit with somebody I didn't know who was eating alone. Because I know what it felt like to eat alone. No. And I did not want them to feel that way. So if they were not studying, I would sit with them, ask if I could join them for a meal. And I asked about their hobbies, their interests, because we were at the same college. We had the same zip code for 4 years. Why do we need to be strangers? We really don't.
Yeah.
So I would ask them all these questions, all right, get to know them as friends. So when they see me sitting alone the next time, they come over with their friends and sit with me for a meal. And when we learn about the experiences of others, that gets rid of fear. And that ushers in a future of hope for all of us.
Yeah. I dropped a whole plate of fries.
You dropped a whole plate of fries?
Yeah, and no one laughed at me. And I was just looking around waiting for someone to laugh at me. I was like, okay, I'll go about my business.
Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it, Faith. But remember, if you think you could do it by yourself, by all means do that. But there might be instances where you have food we have drinks and you might need some help, do not be nervous to ask around for help. All right? Because you have dining hall people that are there, you have student workers, they'll be happy to help you.
Yeah.
All right. And I was never nervous to ask for help.
Yeah.
If I felt I could not do something, but if I felt like I could do it myself, just asking for help at that moment felt like I was depriving myself. You know, so I knew when to be independent and when to ask for assistance.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too, they've been working with her at school the past couple of years, is advocating on when, because we know that there's going to be things she can't do. She's going to have to advocate. And then if she's going to learn to have to advocate when she's out of school, if she has someone new, or, you know what I mean? Not people that are used to what her needs are.
I used to deal with a lot of jealousy too last year, but they got over it, and it's only for me.
Jealousy? What you talking about, jealousy?
They're like, "Oh, you're so lucky you're in a wheelchair," and I'm like, quit that.
So explain that a little bit more. Talk a little bit louder into the microphone.
They would think I have life a little bit easier and I'm at an advantage, but the truth is I don't.
So a lot of the kids that she goes to school with, she goes to the Maryland School for the Blind. She has cortical vision impairment. Also, another reason why she doesn't look at you all the time when she's speaking, she always turns to look to the left because she's trying to process what you're saying. It's just part of her vision. But a lot of them, are completely blind, or they have different other disabilities, or some that can't see that, they can't see that she's in a wheelchair, and they ask different questions. But why do you think that you thought you had it better off than them?
I don't know.
It's just the way you felt, the way they talked to you,
the way I perceived it, I guess.
The way you perceived it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But blindness is just a disability like anything else is. Like I have blindness in my ears. In other words, a hearing loss. And blindness is just losing another sense. But what gets better is your hearing. You sometimes use your ears to see.
Yeah, and right? You can't get anything around this girl. She can hear you even if you're trying to
I have
whisper. Yeah,
my ears ring.
Yeah, her ears ring.
Part of it.
Yeah, but you hear a lot. I literally could be whispering to somebody, and I'm like, "How did you hear that? Are you serious? Like you can't put one thing against her, away from her."
Well, when one sense gets worse, another sense gets better.
Yep.
And we all often are so depressed about losing one sense. We don't realize the value that the other senses have. They take over for us.
I have friends that see shadows.
They see shadows. How many presentations would you, if you would guess, like how many presentations have you had? And are there, this is a hard one. Are there any that really stood out to you that were just so memorable that stays in your heart? I know that's hard because all of them, have a piece of you, but there any been one that has really stood out over another?
Yes, I did a presentation in a middle school several years ago for 7th or 8th graders. And during the Q&A, I had a question that I didn't hear. And I would have a teacher on stage next to me to repeat the question because I was the only one with the microphone, right? And I did not hear the question. And the question was, it was from a student with an apparently oversized ego. And he was in the back and he asked me a question. You must make a lot of money from these assemblies. What's your salary? And the teachers, the staff did not want to repeat that question. They were rolling their eyes and everything. The student really has a big ego. And I insisted. I told the teacher with me on stage, I want to answer his question. What is it? And she reluctantly said, she repeated the question for me. I turned to the student and just allowed my heart to do the talking. And I said, you know what? Wealth comes in more ways than just money. It is how many friends you have and your capacity to love and be loved that makes you one of the wealthiest people in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And good exercise keeps you healthy too.
You don't have to have money to be rich. You just have to have a good attitude.
Exactly. She said you don't have to have money to be rich. You just have to have a good attitude.
A lot of the teachers do ASL so they could understand what's happening. So I'm just imagining that seeing ASL and you would be like, what? Now I can't understand what happened.
So what else did you say to him?
That's what I said. I just allowed my heart to do the talking. I noticed that all the students and the staff were in total agreement. Mm-hmm. And I hope that this student remembers that moment for a lifetime. And it's something I included in my book. I just had to include that story and my response to it.
So share us about your book. I'm so excited about your book launch.
All right. I would like to share with your readers, with your viewers, the cover of the book. I have it on my iPad here.
Okay.
So I'll share my screen right now.
Okay, cool.
Share my screen. All right. Share content, screen. All right. Start broadcast. 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right.
I love it.
All right. You're seeing my screen now.
Uh-huh.
All right. All right. Let me go over the photos here.
Okay.
And
I
think this is a photo right here. And the book's title called Yes, I Can. I wanted for the cover to focus on the reader. So I wanted the readers to have an original no, I can't attitude. And it's transformed to yes, I can. So you see the N-O shattered behind the yes.
I love that.
And the apostrophe T behind the exclamation point.
Yes. Oh
so
my
I think it's an excellent title. Is boost your confidence, realize your potential, and change the world. So that is the cover of my book. And the book is coming out on, let me go back to the Zoom. Let me go back to the camera here. All right, perfect. The book is coming out in about 3 weeks. Oops. All right. The book is coming out in about 3 weeks from today, October 25th, 2022. And it is going to be available on Amazon. The title is Yes, I Can. Lessons Learned from a Life Less Ordinary. And I figured that's a good title for the book. You know, I don't want to make it about myself. I want to make it for the reader. So it's a self-help book. It's not an autobiography. It won't. I'm not Tom Cruise or Betty White. I'm not famous like that. I don't want to be. But I want to make the reader feel like a hero.
Mm-hmm.
All the heroes we know they can become.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the reader to be the best version of themselves. That was the reason why I wrote this book.
I can't wait to get it and read it to Faith.
The librarian at the school said, why don't you make a autobiography? And I was like, no, maybe I want to make a self-help book because there's not many of those out in the world. There's too many biographies. There's literally biographies coming out of my ears.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I encourage you, Faith, to write a book. You know, you might not know where to start, but just allow your heart to do the talking. Mm-hmm. In fact, the inspiration behind the book
I have
was when my mom passed away. Dad and I were cleaning out her jewelry, her clothing, and figuring out what family members would appreciate, these items. We were cleaning out the house and we found a journal which was in her handwriting.
Oh, wow.
We never knew she kept one. And it went back to the time I was born.
that's special.
And when I read this journal, it felt like I was reading her book.
Mm-hmm.
And all her memories, all her frustrations, even my teachers in grade school, which ones she liked, which ones she did not like.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because at the time, my grade school teachers did not. I was the first person with a disability to attend the Freehold Township schools. And the teachers were very concerned. They thought I was a liability issue. They saw me falling in the hallways. They could not get me out of class, But they learned over time to appreciate what I could do.
Mm-hmm.
So they helped me rip the T out of the word can't. Yes, I can. And that became the title of the book. Yes, I can.
I
So,
have read a few books over the years. I just haven't published them because of COVID, but I'm not going to give you any spoilers because that would be kind of bad of me.
She's been writing books for
3 years now?
Yeah, she's been into writing for like 3 years. But I need to find some place to send what she's writing to see if there's something that we should or could edit and publish, or
well, I would encourage you to self-publish them. Because traditional publishing, there are pros and cons. First of all, I was investigating this.
Mm-hmm.
And for traditional publishing, you have to sign away your creative rights
mm-hmm.
to the stories in the book. And I just did not want to do that.
So did you freelance some of this
those
stuff?
Stories are my own.
Right.
They're only my own.
Yeah.
I want to share them with readers. And I don't want the publisher to own them.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is, I would need to wait 2 years for the book to appear on the shelf. And that was too long.
Not me.
So I went the self-publishing route where I have full control. I would get the maximum royalties for each book sold. I would maintain all my stories myself. And I would get the book out in 4 to 6 months.
Wow. Now, did you have freelancers that helped you with the editing and all of that, or?
Mainly my mom helped me with the editing spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I was writing late into the nights, sometimes going to bed at sunrise.
Yeah, I remember when I touched base when you were in Florida. Yeah.
I lost all my assemblies for a year. I didn't let that depress me. Mm-hmm. I found a way to stay productive, just as Faith did, by writing, by getting our stories down on paper or the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually the book formed out, and I'm having a company right now is help me with the printing, mm-hmm. the editing and the printing and the cover. And it's called Scripture Publishing Group. And I found it. I was recommended for them. Okay. And I'm using them right now. They're sending me the final draft next week. They sent me a draft last week. I had some corrections. And 2 days later, it went back to them. So their editors are correcting all my revisions. And then I should receive it. Once I have approval, I can upload it to Amazon mm-hmm. and to Kindle. There's going to be 4 editions. An ebook, a black and white soft cover mm-hmm. for students, mm-hmm. a black and white, a color soft cover, for people who want color photos in it, and a hardcover. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you should be.
I'm so excited.
So what have you been doing? You touched on the pandemic with your engagements. So are you doing a lot of virtual type speaking engagements now too? Or has it opened more doors for you in that way?
It was virtual for about a year. For about a year, it was virtual. And then this year is now in person. Last year was partially in person and partially virtual. But now it's now in person and I'm on stage without a mask. So it feels good. It feels normal. It feels like I'm back at home on stage.
That's good.
And like in just the past 2 days, Thursday and Friday last week, I spoke in a school district that had 1,500 teens in my audience. So it was close by. It was 1,500 teens. But for some reason, I can't get into freehold schools. It's hard.
You would think.
They have all new administration and they don't know us.
Yeah.
And they have a motivational speaker right in their own backyard. And I'm trying to get into Freehold High School. But the principal said, we've already scheduled our speakers for another 2 years. God. Can you believe that? 2 years.
That's insane.
I said, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I'm patient. I know when the book comes out and Freehold administrators read it, they're going to be motivated and perhaps inspired enough to bring me in.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So where can you tell the listeners where they can find you on your website, or if somebody wants to, book a speaking engagement with you, or how can we find you?
All right. That's a good question. I designed my own website myself. And it's the name of my favorite Billy Joel song, justthewayouare.com. Spelled out, just the way you are, 5 words, no spaces, justthewayouare.com. And I created this website myself with a description of my programs, my TED Talk on it, video testimonials and testimonials from students as young as 2nd grade. And it's an uplifting site. I have pictures on there of different times in my life. I have a description of my programs, and I love doing these programs. In fact, during the last 41 years, I would estimate I have spoken to about 1 million youth, teachers, educators, and other professionals in 23 states. So I've been to Delaware, where you used to live, and you live now in Maryland, right?
Yep.
My sister lives in Maryland, too. She lives in Montgomery County.
Okay.
Near D.C. I speak to a lot of her schools. She's a school counselor.
Okay.
So I'm coming there in December. I'm trying to get a week of programs at the Montgomery County schools, like Silver Spring, Bethesda, and Gaithersburg, So it's a good feeling. Good feeling to know that I'm helping to make a difference with these students and the future of our country. Just like JD is working towards improving servicing our country in the best way that he knows how. Yep. Please say hello to him for me.
Oh, I definitely will.
And your husband too.
They
inspire me, Jesse.
Oh, yep. He was excited. He's like, "Oh, you're going to interview Dr. Paul. How awesome!"
They should be home for Thanksgiving soon, which is exciting.
Yes, JD should be home for Thanksgiving, so we'll get to see him then. So,
wow.
Yeah, he's stationed in Colorado.
I want the whole family to give thanks for living in the great United States of America, our country. And we live in a divisive country. Mm-hmm. And we really need to be more united. Mm-hmm. United in spirit and united in conscience. Mm-hmm. All right. We have too much division going on.
I agree.
And I hope this book is going to be the answer to that. It's not political. It's not religious. It just focuses on each one of us to be the best.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Never let your attitude become a disability. It's all that you believe in yourself and the beauty of your dreams.
And then also, what do you want to say, Faith?
I keep telling my friend that because she's younger than me. So
you keep telling your friend that because she's younger than you? So what I do is I gift all of my guests a token, which I hand stamp with metal letters and a hammer, and I stamp the word that's most meaningful to them. So,
can I give my example?
Yes, Faith can give you the example of the word she chose and why.
I chose fearless.
So you got to talk a little bit louder, honey, so people can hear you.
I chose fearless because of all the surgeries in life that I had to go through. It's just a reminder to not to be fearless and not fearful.
Correct. Were you able to hear that?
Yes, I was reading it. I know surgeries are tough, but look at it this way. You got all the nurses catering to your every need, right? You have a magic motion adjustable bed. You could go up and down, right? Think of all the positive things, not the negatives.
Yep.
All right. And you have surgeons who are trying to improve your life and get you interacting with society better than you are right now. That's their mission.
Yeah.
It's like a magic wand.
Like a magic wand. So that was her word that she chose, was fearless. And it was to remind her to be fearless for, that's how she has to live every day of her life with, her disability. So what would be a word that would be meaningful to you? And if you're willing to share why you're choosing it. And then I'm going to hand stamp it on a token and mail it to you. And what I do is I take the tokens and I make them either into keychains or bracelets.
I think the word I choose would be optimism. And because everyone needs to focus on that. It's the only way that we can have a brighter future for us and for our kids. And my kids right now, I'm not married. I'd like to find a wife and get married. But right now, all my kids are my students in schools. And, I love to see them succeed. Mm-hmm. And I also have a nephew who's 13 years old, and he lives in Southern Maryland. And I love to hear of his achievements. Mm-hmm. Because he inspires me. And when I think of people, I look at people with hope and optimism in particular. And that is why I choose optimism, because I want people to feel good about their challenges, mm-hmm. to be optimistic about the future, not pessimistic, change it. Mm-hmm. And dismiss the no I can't attitude and make it yes I can, mm-hmm. because it's more uplifting. Mm-hmm. It's inspiring for them and for the people they surround themselves with, mm-hmm. Their loved ones, their family members, their friends, their teachers. Mm-hmm. And Faith, I'm sure you have excellent teachers, mm-hmm. and they believe in you at school. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that perhaps one day I can come back to your hometown where you live now and host programs on different days for the different one evening for parents, another day for students at schools around Cecil County. Is that where you are?
Yep.
Harford County.
Yeah. So actually, we moved from Cecil and we're in Harford County now, which is just one county over. Yeah. So we would love nothing more. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So please, for all your viewers out there, realize that you are loved more than you could possibly know.
Well, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening and watching. So be sure to share this. Check out Dr. Paul's website and be on the lookout for his book.
Turn the positive into the negative. I mean, the negative into a positive.
Negative into positive. You got that right. And make sure your disability becomes ability.
Yeah.
Always. Every day of the year.
Yeah.
Even if it's Christmas.
She said, even if it's Christmas.
My social worker reminds me to be optimistic all the time because she says you never know what's going to happen in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. But even if you have a negative experience, use it as an opportunity to learn and to grow from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the negative experience is actually a positive one. When you step back and realize you're looking at it from a broader scale of life.
Mm-hmm.
This is life itself.
Yep.
And it's not easy for anyone.
Yep. Yep.
But it's life, and we need to seize it by the horns.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
You know, I had a great time. I want to thank you for finding me, and thank you for continuing to inspire me, your family, all these years.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us as we spread awareness through our personal stories and the many resources shared. You can help us by joining our village simply by sharing our show to the masses. If you would like to support the Guilbault Girls on another level, click on the link in the show notes to make a donation in any amount. Add your address and you'll receive a hand-stamped token with the word village on it in appreciation. Be sure to subscribe to our Guilbault Girls podcast and YouTube show, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Guilbault Girls. Till next time.